So we're a little bit more than a week done with Agatha All Along, the latest Marvel series on Disney Plus. After episodes 3 and 4, I stopped my review videos and said that I was going to do an overview once the series was over. So it is that time. So here we go, Agatha All Along. Now, at first, I gotta be honest, I thought it was a little bit weird when we got the announcement that there was going to be an Agatha TV show, a spin-off character from a spin-off series of the MCU. And like I said in the previous review videos that I did do, I was not really interested in this show at all. During the lead up, there were so many title changes, things going on behind the scenes. I just felt like this show was going to be a big mess. The premise of it didn't interest me. And even though I like Kathryn Hahn and I liked Agatha in the WandaVision series, I wasn't interested enough or into her character enough to really care that she was going to have her own show. And I thought that it was kind of weird that that was the decision that they made. But as you know, if you've watched my review videos, when we finally got into this series, I actually was kind of enjoying it. The first episode did a lot to kind of capture my intrigue and make me wonder what was going on with Agatha. Joe Locke and his character I thought was intriguing enough. Even though everybody knew who he was, I was still interested enough in his performance to see how it was going to be revealed that he was who he was. And I kid you not, from the first episode to the very last episode, I was interested. I was having fun. By no means is this a top tier MCU show, maybe even hitting a very niche audience, but nonetheless, it was fun. It was cool to see with the different sets and visual effects that they had going on. The performances of not just Kathryn Hahn and Joe Locke, but you know, the other witches that were a part of this cast, I thought all had decent chemistry and were fun to watch together. So real quick, jumping into some of the things I like I mentioned, the set designs and the atmosphere of this show. I think a big benefit that this show had working for it is the fact that it was going on through the Halloween season. And this show is definitely a very Wizard of Oz meets Hocus Pocus type of vibe and energy that is going on. And I think that in the October month, or in the Halloween season, it was a perfect show for that. There were moments in here that were really creepy, not so much scary, but really creepy, very monsterish, and just Halloween vibes all over this show. The cast, as I mentioned, I thought was, for the most part, meshed well. Everybody that was working together really had that chemistry, really played off of each other very nicely. And I do think that each one of these witches had a very interesting backstory that made them bigger for this story than what they could have been, playing a little bit into their motivations on why they're here in the first place. The story of the show I thought was pretty intriguing as well. The mystery behind Wiccan, even though we knew who he was anyway. The character of Rio and why her and Agatha had so much tension. The episodes with each trial that's diving deeper and deeper into each of these witches' backstory, revealing their secrets and ultimately bringing them closer together by the end and really becoming a coven. I thought that it was all really fun and a lot of fun to speculate about what we thought was going to happen in the next episode and by the end of the series. The story in this show I thought also was really cool, and it was quite a bit tragic. Kathryn Hahn and her performance of Agatha, I have said it before and I will say it again, she is so much fun to watch. She's very energetic, she's very sarcastic, she's jokeful, she's plotting, she's very smart. And I just really love her delivery in this character. She's a lot of comedic fun, but I was also happy to see that she nailed a lot of the emotional beats that were going on as far as her story and dealing with the loss of her son, and the fact that it was Rio, as revealed as the Lady of Death, who took her son. That whole story and plot line really had a very deep emotional thread that I think that each one of those characters played off very well. And it did enough to add a different level to the show other than this silly comedy type of thing that was going on originally. Not to mention, I feel like that story and that little plot line was executed well enough to where I actually felt bad for Agatha and kind of understood why she goes off of the deep end after her son dies. You know, creating the story of this witch's road as a con in order to take the power away from other witches to become stronger, maybe with the hopes of one day being able to bring her son back. Joe Locke, I think, became so much more interesting as this series progressed. Even upon him finally being confirmed to be Billy Maximoff. I was still quite a bit shocked that his motive was to find his brother, and he don't really want nothing to do with his mom. Though I do think that that kind of makes sense. Wanda is not very good. She's not a good person. And at the end of the day, she did do some very horrible things for very selfish reasons, and she wasn't a good person. So I look forward to seeing Wiccan trying to find his brother in whatever project that may be in the future. I think that that is a storyline that I am now interested in. I would like to see how he finds his brother. I had a good time with the show. I had fun with it. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. There were a couple hangups that I think maybe kind of held the show back, or were some things that you could expect from this early phase 4 mindset that they put into this show. But even then, it's only a few things that were really hanging me up, like Joe Locke's performance in the middle episodes. I do think, even though I was interested in the character and I think that he nailed a lot of his serious bits very well, those middle episodes where he's kind of playing this sassy, annoying kind of fanboy of Agatha kind of got on my nerves. I way more enjoyed the moments where he was able to get serious and into that darkness a little bit, especially towards the end when the reveal happens. And I was so glad for that change, because we know that he's such a bigger character in the grand scheme of things. And for a minute, it did kind of feel like he was reduced to this fanboy, but I'm very glad that they played it the way that they played it, him actually being the one to trick Agatha. He was playing a part the whole time and he did it well. And that made it a lot easier for me to accept the goofiness that was early into the series. I'm gonna nitpick a little with this next one, but it was the music. I don't think that the music was terrible. It's actually shown that that song, The Witch's Road, is way more important than we even thought that it was. But even then, I do feel like the very first episode or the second episode with The Witch's Road song was the best version of that song. The 70s, 80s rock one was alright. The lullaby one, well, I was first son, so I won't really critique that one. But the first version of that song I thought was the dopest one. But even then, I told y'all in my Joker review that I am not a musical movie type of person, so I could have did without the songs. But again, that's just a little nitpick. It really doesn't change the show one way or the other. And lastly, I think that even though I believe this show is a good show and it is a fun time, I still feel like this show, it doesn't totally feel significant in the grand scheme of the MCU, at least not yet. I still don't know that we needed an entire Agatha show. Now, don't get me wrong, this show definitely connects with the MCU and maybe what will happen with Wanda later, or even Wiccan, and will affect the overall MCU. Like maybe we get Wiccan's story in Doctor Strange 3, or even the rumored Wanda solo movie that is supposed to be in production. But even then, I don't know if Wiccan needed the Agatha show in order to tell his story and his motivations. But even with all that being said, I am not disappointed that this show is a show that came out. I'm not disappointed that this show was not canceled. I had a good time with it. It was fun. I definitely see myself and the family putting this on the screen, you know, during the Halloween seasons and just enjoying the fun, dumb comedy that's in it. And I'm interested to see where both these characters go. It was kind of dope to see that they did a little bit more of a comic accurate Agatha at the end when she dies as a ghost. And we're going to see in some way, shape or form, Billy look and maybe even find his brother. So there's definitely enough intrigue that's woven in the threads of this show. So for Agatha All Along, that is really what I got for you guys. Those are my thoughts. What did you think of the show? What are your predictions about where these characters are going next? Please let me know down in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button. Helps the channel out a lot and I appreciate that. Also consider subscribing to the channel so that way you can stay updated with all of the videos that we put out. But y'all already know what it is, man. Y'all know the drill, man. I'm out and y'all be smooth. Stay geeked up.